So the next thing is enterprise SEO adoption. You said like things you found that make an impact in a large company, and IBM is a super large company. So what are those things, I guess?
Yeah, and over the time that I've been in IBM, it's crazy how much it's changed, because we started out with like a really small SEO team. We weren't really engaged with a lot of teams. We had like different people assigned to different business units, but over time we've kind of ingrained ourselves in the entire process of things like content creation. So one of the main things that I found that really helped was starting out just setting up like basic governance for things like URL structures. So one of the things I did was I wrote out just URL standards and CMS standards by page type. So I did a review of all of IBM's content, kind of like categorized it into different types of content, and then came up with like ideal URL structures and kind of like the SEO rules in which things we think, by page type we need to be reviewing. So obviously things like commercial pages, where we're targeting like unbranded commercial content, are some of the most important pages for SEO. Unbranded content where you're trying to sell things. So we wanted to make sure that we start following standardized processes for making that content and making sure SEO was involved in it. So governance is a huge thing, just creating some standards around.
And so let's say you created a standard, but obviously historically the standard wasn't practiced. Do you go back and change URL structures just to make sure it's in a certain standard that you want it? Or do you say, you know what, it's not worth changing the URL structure because it's fine, it's being indexed?
Yeah, so that's something that every company will have to figure out based on their situation. Usually it comes more into place when people are making new content.
Right.
So we say whenever you're making new content, start following these rules. As you do things like migrations, it gives you like a very clear blueprint, and it also makes the process much more smooth when people are trying to figure out, okay, I'm making this type of page, where do I put it?
Right.
You have a reference sheet that says, this is the type of content you're creating, this is where you put it. And then it's easier for our team to find the pages and figure out like, okay, I'm trying to link to a learn page about this topic. This is where the page is.
And how many CMS platforms do you guys use? Or it's pretty unified now?
Yeah, we're definitely unifying it. There's, we're doing a migration, but so we're trying to get everything into one CMS. But there's teams that do HTML coded pages in the past, and we're still cleaning stuff up.
You probably
like
have
that.
5,000 different WordPress
Oh yeah,
instances
WordPress,
out there.
Drupal,
Yeah.
all kind of stuff.
Oh, any Wix? I'm just
No.
Not yet. But I think IBM has their own CMS platform they probably sell, from what I remember. I'm not sure if it's still being used. Do you guys? I'm making that up.
I don't think so.
You don't have some proprietary like CMS that you've been selling for years?
Maybe back in the day they had
that had the
like
session IDs for URL structures. One of those old CMSs that you create a page, and that page would automatically create some type of new URL for every single time so they clicked on it, like using session IDs. That's way before your time.
Yeah. There have definitely been teams that like made their own.
Interesting. All right, cool. Yeah. So it's basically about making these standards and blueprints that people go ahead and, when you're creating content, that content's created in a certain structure that can make it easier in the future for SEO as well as people who are just creating the content. And a lot of work goes into that, into training as well, or?
Yeah. So, generally once you start making something like that that's useful, the first step is just making it and then trying to get people to adopt it. So, yeah, just getting in front of like IA teams or content creation teams and selling the benefits of, actually organizing content on your website into an IA that makes sense.
Is there a lot of pushback on that, or it's just like they forget, or?
Yeah, it definitely takes time, and you have to have, leadership help to get things moving. But once you do, it can be very beneficial. Another thing that I think is really important is getting involved in templates. So making sure that when you identify different types of pages by user intent, which that itself a lot of companies don't do. They just make pages.
Right.
But actually saying these are the different types of pages that are going after different intents, and then creating template standards for how you should make those types of pages can be huge, because then you can have like mandatory sections for linking to, you know, certain types of pages in the content.
Right.
So it can, you know, just that alone can improve linking across the entire
Right.
website if people start following standards for linking to something in a specific place.
Right. I can hear that, because if you have so many different writers and they're all writing in their own style, and then some of them are linking, some of them are using funny language, some of them using, I mean, you create this template saying this content goes here, these types of links go in this box, maybe even some like automated tools that say, hey, this word on this page is a product we sell here, you should hyperlink it to that.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe there's some type of like Chrome extension or something that you guys built that maybe looks through that content that's being written and saying, whoa, this is something you should link to over here, or something you should reference based on the data we have over there. That'd be cool. I mean, I'm sure there's tools out there that do a lot of that right now, but
one of the things I actually use Airtable for, so anytime we make a new like commercial focus page, I'll add it into our topic taxonomy. So it'll say, basically what I'm doing is tagging, okay, this topic should be a child of, you know, this topic and this topic. Like say you have a cloud security page.
Right.
If you have a cloud section and a security section, you tag both of those as parents.
Right.
Which is basically what a polyhierarchy is. You know, a standard hierarchy in most like taxonomy systems is just where you have like this topic has these children and this other topic has these children. But polyhierarchy, you know, a child can go under multiple parents. So some CMS systems support it, some don't. But you know, if companies have the development resources, it can be very beneficial to set up like a polyhierarchy system within the CMS itself.
So it's basically checking off multiple topics that it belongs to when you're writing the category.
So
when you're writing the content, I'm sorry.
So not only, so in one sense, you can usually it's more used in e-commerce. What you're talking about when you just like make a product and you tag multiple categories.
Right.
That's more like tagging. What I'm talking about is when you set up an actual taxonomy. So you know the options you're choosing for tagging a page by. Usually they're structured in like a parent-child relationship.
Right.
So like the example I was saying before, like you have a parent topic cloud and a child topic security.
Right.
So within the actual relationship between the topics, setting it up so that one topic is automatically a child of both parents. So that way, you know, you don't have to tag, when you're tagging a page, you don't have to tag multiple topics.
Where's that shown on the front end? I mean, it would just be like a box related to these topics, or I'm thinking like maybe next step, I don't, maybe it's there, but you basically, as the person's typing, you read the content, maybe they check off some categories, you know, cloud, security, and based off of that, it kind of says, all right, we're going to look for content in the piece of content that they're writing and saying, these are pages that also wrote about this specific keyword within that topic, hyperlink and stuff.
So the idea is if you have a cloud security page, you tag it with the cloud security topic.
Yeah.
And then it would automatically show up under, it would be linked to from the cloud page and the security page because that
Right.
topic itself is set as a child of both.
Right, I get that,
Yeah.
yeah. So that makes a lot of sense. And
So
that
it can help like automate linking, which, you know, anytime you can automate linking on your website, that's going to have a huge improvement for internal linking.
especially for sites as large as IBM. For
Oh,
sure. Yeah, I'm just thinking is the next level, like building some type of tool that watches as you type and says, all right, we got this covered over here.
Oh yeah, like NLU suggestions for
Yeah,
different
that'd be
topics.
cool. And it
things
can pull
like
from
that.
your Airtable stuff probably pretty
Yeah.
well. Anyway, cool. And that's the topic you're talking. That's your third topic, which was about SEO-driven taxonomy. That's what you just covered just now, right?
Yeah, exactly. So setting up like a topic taxonomy that you know that lets you support like all of these automated linking things because you know once you have all of these topic relations set up, you can do a lot of automation within your CMS that you wouldn't be able to otherwise. Like if you have all of the topics or all of the pages within a certain topic tag, you can automatically link them to, like have sections in the template where they'll link to each other, or you can have a section in the template where it'll automatically link to all the children of the topic of that page.
Right.
So you know you can really take a lot of the manual work out of like SEO, like reviews and things like that, and it also lets you do just like reviews of linking on your website. So one of the things I store is internal links because I basically in Airtable, I did like a Python script that'll crawl the website, and on a certain basis, it'll pull in metadata and linking data into Airtable itself, and it uses linking relationships between page. You can even do lookups like through the linking data itself. So that way you can say, okay, this page should be linking to these other solution pages based on the topical relationships we set up. And then you can actually automatically check whether or not it's linking to the pages it should be.
And are you able to figure out, based off of the number of internal links to certain pages and maybe pulling in Google Search Console data, like, does it make a difference? Obviously, every keyword is different, every keyword phrase is different, and the competitive nature of each word is different. But it would be cool to maybe see, like, rankings go up with you hit this amount of links. I don't think it works that way. It's not that linear. But
it's definitely not that linear, but yeah, I mean, definitely as you...
Because you have to prove this stuff. Like, you have bosses and they have bosses. You got to prove your worth and say, I should have a salary tomorrow because the stuff I'm doing actually has a return on investment. And how do you prove? I'm curious. How do you prove that? Or it's your boss's responsibility, not yours?
Yeah, I mean, that goes back to SEO reporting. So making sure that you're tracking keywords for all of your pages and that you're tracking performance and showing like historical data over time. So one thing I did was, I manage all of the keywords in Airtable, but I set up like automations so that it'll automatically upload all of the keywords and pages we've assigned to those keywords to our rank tracker. So it's not something where we have to manually go into our rank tracker and update keywords and pages and things like that as they change. It's automatically synced together. So that's another kind of benefit that we've seen. And the other thing is it lets us like create custom dimensions that a lot of the business units care about. Because if you work in an enterprise setting, there's always going to be initiatives or things where we want to improve these certain pages or this offering.
Right.
So that lets us like go in and create like custom dimensions for those different groups and like dynamically create SEO reporting based off of that.
Right. That's good.
Because it's like a relational database, so you can kind of do any type of reporting based on different page types or whatever type of data you're storing.
So the SEO team, I guess, is a standalone team, but you work with so many different probably business units within IBM.
Yeah, there's a lot of cross-functional teams too. Like there's, marketing teams. There's product-focused teams that are working on certain product groups. So we make sure we embed SEO focals into all of those different groups so that they have someone to talk to when they're optimizing pages or figuring out how to plan their new product launch or things like that.
Right. Because I guess technically you guys aren't actually implementing any of the front end stuff. It's not like you're writing the content. It's not like you are changing the CMS directly, right? You're just saying you're giving recommendations to the teams to say, hey, developers, we need to change our CMS to do this. Hey, content writers, this is the template you should be using for this. This is the template you should be using that. Here's an idea on how to integrate internal linking through this, taxonomy type of solution, and this is how you should implement it. And you're telling the developers to do that. And some will be like, no, I'm not doing it. Or they'll just be like, we'll add it to the queue and we'll get to what we can. Or how does that work? How do you get them to do what you need to do?
Yeah, so it comes down to process, making sure that you have the SEO team integrated into like the page creation process.
Okay.
And yeah, a lot of times you do need executive support for that. But it's taken a while for us to get there, but it's you just need to make sure that you're presenting your case to upper management and that you're integrating people into teams that are creating content and making sure there's always a step where SEO reviews and approves content. We have an IA team as well that manages a lot of taxonomy and templates and things like that. So we have SEO focals working with them.
Can you tell me how big the SEO team is now, approximately?
I think it's around 10 people.
Okay, so I think that's significantly bigger than last time I spoke to somebody there.
Yeah.
Which is probably closer to 5 people, maybe several years ago.
And we also work with an agency, so it includes like some of those people.
Okay. And you guys are you're in different locations, all of you, I assume.
Yeah, mainly in yeah, like New York and Raleigh and Austin. It's like the three main areas we work out of.
Cool. And how often did you used to fight with Patrick?
I don't think we fought a lot, but yeah,
It's good
I
guy.
think he was actually the one who interviewed me when I worked
yeah?
at my old job. But yeah, we go way back.
Yeah, he's a fun guy from what I remember. I haven't spoke to him in probably a while. He used to speak at all the conferences.
Yeah.
You don't speak much, right? Or do you?
No, not anymore. I should probably do that. But.
You probably should, yeah. Cool. And could you tell me who's leading? It wasn't Keith Good. Did he leave?
So he was on our team as well. Ellen Mamedov is the SEO lead.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And you guys are hiring, or you don't know?
I don't think we're hiring right now.
Okay. I'm just curious. So you guys get on SEO calls like often, and you discuss this is the game plan for today, or how's that work? I'm just so
Yeah.
fascinated.
So we have like team meetings. So our team is, works with a lot of different groups, and we're kind of structured into like a few different teams. Like we have like one team that's more focused on like fixing technical issues across the site. We have Focals who, work with different product teams and are, day to day working with that group to optimize all their pages and plan out content plans and things like that. And those are kind of the two main teams. But.
Thanks for coming. How could people learn more about you, follow you, and learn more? Just basically contact you with any questions they might have.
Yeah, so I'm on Twitter. You can follow me at James F. Pate.
Cool. I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks.